Okay, we're actually live, Davian. How you feeling?
Awesome. I am feeling very, very great, man. Manny P, how are you?
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. So yeah, we thought we would, Davian. We've got the huge number of 0 people logged in watching us, which is amazing.
Awesome. So we're off to a great start.
We want to
Fans
thank
can't wait to join in. So that's great.
those 0 people watching. But no, honestly, we didn't expect anybody to be here. Um, this is a bit of a practice for us. Obviously, in the future, we're hoping as we get more subscribers, we'll have more people logging in and watching.
No, we're not hoping. We will.
Okay, we will. Sorry.
Yes, we will have, throw that out there in the universe. We will have more subscribers and we'll have lots of fans, Vaya men, women, Vaya children. We'll have them all tuning in to enjoy because it's going to be a podcast, a stream where we can actually speak about all different topics, but at the same time, it's going to be respectful. The language is going to be family friendly, so therefore, there won't be anything that's taken out of context or anything like that. Should we be at a stage where we're required to speak about things that's for adults only, then we will actually create a platform for that, where you'll obviously need to have age restriction levels on it to sign in to actually participate. But apart from that, yeah, this will be for everyone. So, and we'll be talking about everything. Not saying we're qualified and we're knowledgeable on everything, but
I am.
just like anything, well, yeah, of course. Of
Speak for
course.
yourself,
That's why
David.
you're might be. Yeah, so yes, we'll be here to cover everything, from TV shows, films, politics, music, comics. I mean, don't think we don't know about comics because we do. And it's funny because Manny P really is an expert on that. So we'll definitely be discussing things like that because that's something that I definitely want to also, we definitely need to do a segment on because, you get all these new age fans that they don't know stuff and they want to come to you like, oh, did you know this about Avengers? And you're thinking, hang on, we've been into comics and into this before comics was even popular for the cool gang, going to Forbidden Planet, me also going to Krypton Comics back in, these are London places I must
Oh yes,
mention.
in Haringey, yes, I remember Krypton comics as well.
Yeah, right near the big Tesco's in Seven Sisters. And you'd go there and you'd get your comics and things like that. So, we're not just jumping on the Marvel and the comic bandwagon now because it's popular. We've been into this from school days. So,
Actually,
we know what we're talking about.
I was scheduled. We were scheduled to talk about something else, but just on comics. Obviously, we've had One Division on Disney Plus, which for me is probably the best superhero show ever created. I think it's just genius. I know you haven't seen it yet, Davian, but for me, I think the way it's been written, we'll talk about it more when you've watched it. But the way it's been written, I think it's some of the tools they've used to create that show is just ingenious. But me as a comic fan, obviously, I haven't collected in about 5 or 10 years. But what I really liked about One Division was it touched on those stories which I read in the 80s and the 90s, well, more the 80s. But that's what I absolutely loved about One Division. But unfortunately, more the recent stuff, I'm not very good at.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that as well, like why I'm not a big fan of the more recent Marvel stuff. I think we'll have a discussion about that one day. Actually, now you mention it.
Well, definitely. I think what we can do, we'll definitely also do some research so that way we actually have a little bit of knowledge on it because there's nothing worse than when someone is coming and putting their 2 pennies in and they haven't done any research or done anything to know exactly what they're actually speaking about. So definitely going to have to do that, do some research so we know because guaranteed once, our fan base, which will always have people who knows their stuff, see what we're talking about. If we're incorrect, people are going to call you out on it.
Yeah.
Say, oh, that's not it or whatever. And there's nothing worse than when someone doesn't know what they're talking about and they're giving it the large as if they know what they're talking about. So I've always been a believer of preparation. So if I'm not sure about something, I'll ask or whatever. I mean, look at the comics, for instance, like when the Marvel movies started coming out. remember when certain things was happening and I wasn't sure, I'd message you, Manny P, and I'd be like,
Hundred
oh,
percent,
so what's
hundred
going to happen?
percent.
What's this? What's that? Because I know that was your level of expertise. And likewise, if you weren't sure, you'd be like, oh, I'm not sure. And we'll try and research to find out what's what or whatever. But, it's all about having, I think it comes down to a healthy respect of whatever it is you're actually showing an interest in.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be speaking, especially if you're going to be giving opinions on stuff, if you haven't actually done any research on what you're actually going to speak about, because then people won't really take you serious and they won't
but
listen to
remember,
you.
David. At the same time, we don't want to come across as elitist either. We don't want to be like saying to people you don't know enough and you can't take part in the conversation.
No,
Marvel is
no,
for
no.
everybody.
Yeah, definitely. We're not about exclusion. We're all about inclusion. But I'm just saying, if we're going to be there talking, seeing as though at the moment we're the ones who's doing these streams and these podcasts, then we should actually have some knowledge of what we're actually
Absolutely, yeah,
going to
we should. Yeah, yeah,
say. It's like a teacher. You can't have a teacher in the class or a lecturer having students, and the teacher doesn't know anything about the subject that they're supposed to be
100%,
teaching. So you need to talk about it.
100%.
And then
Oh,
you
Dave.
share information and knowledge, bounce off each other.
So David, I'll tell you how old school I am. I'm just going to leave my seat for a second. 2 secs. So remember 2 years ago when they said it was going to be a Captain Marvel movie coming out?
Yeah.
Okay, this is how old school I am. When I heard Captain Marvel was going to be a movie, I actually thought they were talking about this guy, Captain Marvel, who was a Kree captain. And then I found out, like, yeah, exactly. This was the first ever Captain Marvel. He was part of the Kree. And I thought the movie was going to be about him. And then people were like, no, it's about Carol Danvers. I'm like, no, Carol Danvers is Miss Marvel. And people were like, no.
Yeah, Miss
More
Marvel,
recently, more recently, she's become Captain Marvel. And I was like, oh, I really haven't been keeping up over the past 10 years, 10, 15
but
years.
When she came back as Captain Marvel, is that after she would have came out of the coma, that rogue?
Oh, yeah, that would have been long after she came out of the coma. That, I think all that was covered in the 80s because she was locked in Rogue's mind, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's something that I would really love to, that's what I really love to touch on. Why don't they actually show in some of these? Why is it that it seems that Marvel, because there's so many different studios that has rights to certain Marvel things, so they're not showing the proper backstory for some of the shows, which is why you get things like, to me, I always expected X-Men to be the biggest franchise in the Marvel comic series, and instead it's Avengers.
I think again this is another conversation we should have at a later date because it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I'll say two things on that. Number one, Bryan Singer, who directed the movies and wrote them, is a dick. There's no two ways about it. The man's a moron. He actually banned any X-Men comics even being on set. So that says all you need to know. And a couple of years ago, I attended a Comic-Con in the UK where Chris Claremont was speaking. I'm sure you know who Chris Claremont is, David.
Who's that again?
Chris Claremont is the legend who actually wrote the X-Men from the 70s into the 80s. When the X-Men proper kicked off, it was this guy writing it.
Yeah.
And he was basically talking about how he wasn't involved in any of the movies, like he wasn't there as a consultant or anything like that. And the soul of the X-Men just wasn't there because they weren't asking the opinions of people like Chris Claremont. What makes the X-Men tick?
The people who created it, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I think, again, that's something that we definitely have to touch on as well when it comes to when you create something, having creative control and a say in how your product is actually used after. Like, for instance, a perfect example of that was Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball is one of the most loved anime ever. I mean, I remember back in the 2000s, the early 2000s, late 90s, the early 2000s, when Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network. I remember I was actually working at the time in a finance company. I was in my late teens. And I came home early one day from work, and I just so happened to catch the episodes when the Saiyan saga started, which is when Vegeta, Prince Vegeta, and Nappa came to Earth. And I literally caught it right when the fights were starting with them and the Cybermen. And literally, I was hooked after one episode, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to start watching this." And luckily, back then you had Cartoon Network where they would do on the weekends. They would literally play the entire week's episode of what happened, so you could like catch up. So I would actually wait for the weekend, and then I would watch it to actually find out what's going on. And I was actually hooked on it. It became so huge that Cartoon Network, for those who didn't know, Cartoon Network for a long time owned all the rights to Dragon Ball Z because it was so popular that Cartoon Network went and paid Toonami Toonami went and paid to actually have exclusive rights to showing Dragon Ball Z. And it was huge. It took off. It was like, their ratings was skyrocketing. And fast forward to when they actually went and made the Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yep.
It was the Dragon Ball Evolution, or whatever the hell they called it. It was atrocious. The only two movies I can think of to compare it to, which was worse than it, was, for one, Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile, which the only highlight that we could think of from that movie was when he did his version of the flash kick, which kind of looked cool. That was the only highlight from that movie. It was absolutely ridiculous. Dalsim was the typical stereotype Indian scientist. Literally, Ryu and Ken was just ridiculous. The fireball they did was ridiculous. If you call that a fireball, looked like a flashlight. That just blink on before it ran out of battery power. That was atrocious. The only other movie that was actually worse than that, it is so bad I've never actually finished watching it to the end.
Shall I guess? Shall I guess?
Yes, but you wanted to get it right. Guess?
I'm going to say Avatar: Last Airbender.
Nope. There's something worse than all those combined.
As something that's transferred from a...
it's from a game. Yeah, well, from a game that was turned into a movie.
Game?
Yeah, just like Street Fighter, and it was turned into a movie. I mean, sticking on Street Fighter, the only thing that actually saved Street Fighter, the Street Fighter franchise, was the anime, the manga movie, because that was so amazing that people just literally blocked out the actual live movie because they're like, let's just pretend that never happened. Let's just stick to the animated movie, because that was amazing. That was like one of the greatest thing ever. I mean, even to this day, and that was like probably 25 years ago or more, I still time to time go on YouTube and I'll watch it again because it was absolutely 100%. Amazing. Can't go wrong with that. But going back to the one that...
What's the movie? What's the movie? Come on.
Well, I'll have to tell you, but since you can't even guess it right, it means you're going to actually have to watch it.
I won't watch it.
As a punishment. No, you have to, NP. 2021, we don't know what tomorrow brings, so you have to put yourself through that.
Exactly. So there's better things I can be watching.
No, put it this way. When I watched what was that John Cena movie? The Marine. If I put myself through watching The Marine with John Cena, you can put yourself through watching this.
No, I can't. You made the choice to watch The Marine. I don't make that choice.
Yeah, not just the choice. I actually bought it from HMV. It was so bad because it was my best friend that told me to go and watch it. I went, bought it, thought, it's going to be cool. I watched it. It was so bad. I took it back the next day. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't have this. I need to change this movie. Thank God they were decent enough in HMV. They said, yeah, change it for something else. And I swapped it. It was that bad. But the movie I'm actually talking about is, the King of Fighters / Fatal Fury games?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I did know Fatal Fury, yeah.
With Terry Bogard and Andy Bogard. Awesome. Yes. Well, from the Fatal Fury, you had the next one, which was the King of Fighters. That was the next games from the Fatal Fury evolved into. And King of Fighters have been around since 94. to present, because you've got the latest one that's actually coming out in a few months this year. So that shows you how long from 94 now we're in 2021. So that's almost 20 years.
Oh, you just broken up, David. Oh, you just broken up. In fact, you're looking quite scary as well on the screen. Okay, so whilst you're sorting out your internet, Davey talks about Fatal Fury. Oh God, he's trying to get in, but obviously his internet is still playing up. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Right, so I guess I'll take it away. So, God, going back to what we were meant to talk about, we've been sidetracked talking about geeky stuff. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah, there I am. Yeah. So, where was that? Yeah. So the Fatal Fury movie / the King of Fighters movie, it actually stars, you know, the guy from, I can't remember his name, from American Pie, the tall one.
Believe it or not, I've actually never seen American Pie.
The tall, dark hair one, like, you know. Well, they had him inside there, and he was playing Terry Bogard, and it was the worst. It was the absolute worst movie I've ever seen. I couldn't even finish it. I literally watched about 15 minutes of it, and then I just thought to myself, nope, I can't get back that 15 minutes of my life. So I just quit it. So I don't know how it ended. I don't know what happened. I can't tell you if there was a villain. I can't tell you if they went to a picnic. I don't know. All I know is that 15 minutes that I wasted, I could not get it back. And there was no legal ramifications of me suing anyone because I don't know where to start, because I couldn't tell you who made that movie. I had no interest. It was that bad. But again, it goes back to show when you don't have creative control over your things, then it tends to lead to things like that, which is why, for instance, One Piece.
So this is exactly the problem DC and Warner Brothers has at the moment. It's got no respect for the original source material. It knows that if it buys Batman or it buys Superman or it buys The Flash, they know people are going to go to the cinema to watch those movies because of the name Batman, Superman, whatever. But they actually haven't got any heart in actually telling these amazing stories that DC have written for these characters.
Yeah, but I think DC is just confused in general. DC doesn't know which direction they want to go, because you could tell DC is confused for the simple fact that, remember, when X-Men came out, X-Men was original. They had all original actors. Hugh Jackman, of course, that played Wolverine iconically. Halle Berry as Storm. Famke Jensen as the lovely and sultry and sexy Jean Grey. And then fast forward to when DC did Superman Return with Kevin Spacey. Do you remember when that came out?
Again, I do not watch DC movies because until they start doing stuff properly, I'm not going to give them any of my money or any of my time.
Well, when that came out, when that came out, they actually had, who was also one of the main characters in there, the actor who played Cyclops from X-Men, playing what's her name? Lois Lane's husband, who was raising Superman's son. And I just thought, that's crazy. Why would you take someone from one of your biggest competitor, and have him play even a secondary role in your film? You're not making him look bad. It's making you look bad, as if you couldn't go out and get any other actor to play her husband. You went and got someone who was a main character in your biggest competitor's film.
I mean, for me, I don't think that's the worst thing DC have done. I just think they're being very. I just think the way Warner Brothers are handling it is just extremely disrespectful to hardcore DC fans who absolutely love these characters and love these stories.
Yeah, but think about it, man. Warner Brothers hasn't been Warner Brothers since they started selling out their business, and they changed the name. Remember, you used to have in Leicester Square, for those who's from London, in Leicester Square, which is where all the premieres for all the blockbuster movies get shown in London in the UK. In Leicester Square, you used to have that huge, right up opposite the big Odeon, you used to have that Warner Brothers cinema.
Yeah.
Remember, that's no longer called Warner Brothers. They now re-franchise and they're now called View. So
Yeah.
I think from the moment Warner Brothers started selling off things and they're now View and the this and that or whatever, it's not the same. So they're not really putting in the effort. So to
No,
them, it's just more like
but
making
this is
money.
the thing. It's like I'm sure there's people at DC right now, especially looking at what Marvel is doing with Kevin Feige. Just wish that they'd sold the rights to Batman and all their DC characters to a decent studio who'd give all they want is just some respect for those characters and some respect for the stories. The same way Kevin Feige has given all this respect to all the Marvel characters, and look what he's produced by doing that. The greatest franchise ever.
Yeah, but which a lot of people's not really even aware of. The actual Marvel franchise started with the one and only, of course, Wesley Snipes, Blade. A lot of new age people won't even remember that Blade was the biggest superhero movie that came out, and Blade was
Yeah,
also a
but just to confirm, that Blade movie isn't part of this franchise. It's not part of this universe.
no, but I'm saying that's also what was responsible for getting Marvel on the platform, because those movies, the third one was horrible because the third one they tried to screw Blade, but the first two was amazing. Blade 1 and Blade 2 was absolutely amazing. You know, Stephen
Absolutely, yeah.
Dorff, Stephen Dorff was amazing in Blade 1, as the antagonist. He was so perfect for Blade character, that was just amazing. And the same
Absolutely.
in Blade 2. It was amazing with the evolved version of vampires who was hunting vampires also. So that was absolutely amazing. But then Blade Trinity was just a mess. Thank God, Ryan Reynolds recovered from that, just like he recovered from bloody that shambles of a DC. If you consider that movie, Green Lantern, that was a complete mess.
Yeah.
I think the only good thing that came from that for him was he actually met his wife.
Yeah,
That
probably.
was
Yeah.
it. Literally, that
Yeah.
was it. Like, he's like, I can thank you for my wife, but apart from that, there was absolutely nothing else. But it's important that you actually give respect to franchises and to those who actually put their
Absolutely.
life.
You give respect to the source material, because at the end of the day, these characters, these stories have become huge because of the emotional connection which they made with the readers of the comics. Now, if you don't transfer that across to the movies when you get the rights to them, why should fans have that same emotional connection to
No, they
those
won't.
characters? They won't do, and that's why people are just going to fall off. This is why I refuse to watch any of those DC movies until they start actually giving respect to those characters.
Yeah, and I think also a problem what I have with DC is you have too many versions of the same character. How many different people are going to be playing Batman? How many different people are going to be playing Superman, Joker? Stick to someone and you just say, all right, we're going with you. You played. I mean, they did okay with the Batman, when, what was it? Batman Begins, with those three films. It was amazing because you stuck to one person, Christian Bale. He played Batman in those three movies and they were amazing. I absolutely loved those movies. Then if you want to move on now, you go and find someone else. Okay, yep, that's it. And you run with that person who's going to do it. But you have to get someone who people will be happy with to say, okay, yes, you know what? He can play that character. I can see him playing that. And they'll be happy with it. Like, for instance, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. You could not find anyone else for that.
No, I think the best example for me is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. He's the best example of someone who's just got such now a deep emotional connection with fans
Yeah,
of that genre.
yes,
It's
literally, you can't
ridiculous,
see anyone else
ridiculously
as those,
deep, that
as those
connection.
characters. I saw him as that. He was a perfect person for Iron Man. He had that swag, that arrogance. I'm smart. I'm rich. Yeah, I'm better than you type of thing. And I'll put you in your place, but I'm still for the people. You also had Ryan Reynolds, which was amazing as Deadpool. He was spot on for that. Hugh Jackman for Wolverine. Again, he was just absolutely, absolutely amazing. You know, Margaret
He
Robbie.
was, he was. But let me. We've gone way off topic here, but I'll just want to say this about Hugh Jackman. He's a very good Wolverine,
Yeah.
but he's not my Wolverine. He's not the Wolverine I grew up reading in the comics.
No, my Wolverine, who would have been for me, but obviously because of the timing and when they made the movie, I thought Jack Nicholson from
Oh
Wolf
yeah,
would have been
100%. Jack
an
Nicholson would have made a
amazing.
superb
He would have been an amazing
Wolverine.
Wolverine. But
If he
obviously
was
the
50
time,
years younger, 100% cast him as Wolverine.
yeah, 15, I'd say 20 years younger because of how long the franchise could have gone on. You know, you would need him to be, unless they were going to make the movies back to back, you know, in a short space of time. But him in Wolf, he was absolutely amazing. And I just thought, as soon as I remember because that's when X-Men, the animated series, used to be on. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, he's like Wolverine. Like, you know, you actually thought that guy is Wolverine because he would have been absolutely perfect for that
100%.
character.
But that's the thing, that I love Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine. But again, it didn't show a lot of respect to the character which I read in the comics, which was this short little stubby guy who's 5'4", really hairy. Actually, not that good looking either. Quite an average looking dude, but with like loads of like angry charisma. That's the
And
Wolverine.
he was a skilled martial artist because remember, technically it says because Wolverine had been around so long, it says that he was actually skilled in all different forms of martial arts. Remember, he was in Japan, he did all of that. But
Oh
yet
yes,
in the
he was in Madripoor, which actually,
yeah,
speaking of Madripoor, apparently Madripoor is going to feature in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is interesting, which I'm excited about.
yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that myself. But if you look at it, when the way they portrayed Wolverine in the movies, they actually had him as just this brute. He's just got the adamantium steel and he's heals and he just rages and that's it. But
Yeah,
he didn't have no fighting.
he
He
was
had no fighting
he was too
skills.
he was too perfect when it comes down to it.
Yeah. So I guess that's why they probably had to like do him like that or whatever.
The good thing
And
about so the good thing about the Wolverine I grew up reading was that he had all these flaws, that he was like full of like rage, and he couldn't get Jean Grey, and he was just this short little stubby fella, and all of that. He was such a balanced character because he loved him, but he still had all these problems as well. Even though he was immortal, that was almost a hindrance to him because there were times when Wolverine probably just wanted to die,
yeah, and he
but he
couldn't.
couldn't.
Yeah, it was just very
So
hard.
he's not
But
immortal, but you know what I mean.
yeah, near enough. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, sticking on that same concept when we're actually talking about like Wolverine and just that whole franchise, I actually thought as well because of the timing again when they made the movies, but the actual voice actor who did the original Gambit from the animated series
Mhm.
was, to me, that's will always be my Gambit. When I think of Gambit, that was who I actually thought of. Had they made the movie back then, the actual actor who did the voice acting for Gambit could have actually done the role as Gambit in the
Did
movies
he?
because he's the actor.
Actually,
Not
don't
sure
know.
if you remember. Do you remember Kung Fu, The Legend Continues
Yeah.
with David Carradine? Do you remember
Hmm.
his son? And that's the actor who actually did the voice for Gambit. And he's an actual martial artist as well in real life.
I don't remember
He's
him
the
actually at all.
well, if you watch, you remember you had the original Kung Fu, which was in the back in the day, Bruce Lee days, and then you had Kung Fu: The Legends Continues, which they made in the 90s, the early 90s, and that's when Kane found his son, and his son is grown and he's a detective. I mean, we can look it up after, but you'll see him. But he was an actual martial artist, and he was the one who actually did the voice for Gambit from X-Men, the animated series.
Okay.
So to me, that would have been perfect. You got the guy who actually knows martial arts, and Gambit knew a bit of martial arts and he had that flair and he's a good looking guy as well, so he would have been perfect for it. But again, the timing was off and they just didn't make the movie. I mean, it didn't
For
come out
me,
until
for me, I think
1999.
Johnny Depp would have made a great Gambit back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that swag, but if you're going based on from what you grew up on, where you know the voice, because if you think about it, in most series that we watch, whatever it is that we hear whoever that plays that character first, who does a great job with it, anyone that comes after, you never seem to really take to them. You might accept them, but you might think, no, you're not the first. Like, for instance, in Dragon Ball, for instance, Dragon Ball Z, because there's so many different versions of Dragon Ball Z. You had the Canadian version, which was the original version. That was the one that's now, if you go on YouTube and you look for it, that's the Ocean dub Dragon Ball Z. And for me, the Vegeta from the Ocean dub Dragon Ball Z is the best voice for Vegeta, which is done by Brian Drummond. He's the best Vegeta. He's the one with the 9,000, which became so popular. Speaking of wrestling, a few years ago when Ronda Rousey made her appearance at WrestleMania, she was actually wearing that Vegeta. I went crazy because I was at that WrestleMania live. She was actually wearing the Vegeta t-shirt with the 9,000 written on there. Now, true Dragon Ball Z fans was looking like, oh my God, we were going crazy, because that was part of our childhood. Just like a few years ago when the Hardy Boys returned for that WrestleMania in Orlando, the New Day, who was hosting WrestleMania,
I remember they had the Dragon Ball Z,
the same costumes or whatever. So it's a big part of our thing. So that's why it's very important when you're actually creating or you're taking someone's franchise from, whether it be a game or a cartoon animated series, and turn it into a live action. You get the creator's perspective on it, so you do an actual great job of it. And I'm sorry to keep going on many people, this is the last one I'll touch on. One Piece, which is like one of my favorite anime right now, they're actually going to be making a live version through Netflix. And what they've done was they actually went and they got the creator of One Piece, and he's actually involved in the selecting process.
Which is what you need to do.
And you've got some great actors who are big fans of it. Like, for instance, the older Emma Watson. You know, the older Emma Watson. She's actually a big fan of One Piece, and they're actually thinking of casting her as Chopper, who's one of the main characters for the Straw Hat Pirates, has his sensei who trained him, who taught him in science, because he's a doctor. So they're actually thinking of casting her to play Dr. Kurenai, which will be an actually amazing thing, because at least she has some knowledge of it, which is great. So you need people who knows the stuff, not people who is looking at it as a paycheck, so then they'll go and do a little quick research
100%.
just to pretend that they're interested in it. We want people who love it, share our love of our things, because we love those things.
100%. You need people with passions. What annoys me sometimes with actors is when they think they're bigger than the character they're going to play. Yeah, that really annoys me. It probably shouldn't annoy me, but it really does.
No, it does, and it should annoy you, because it shows that they're jealous of that character and they don't have respect for it, which means, how will you know if they'll ever really be doing a good job to what that character is like? Because like, for instance, for me, Chadwick Boseman was amazing as Black Panther. When I saw him in Civil War, just from the first interaction, when he literally was fighting against the Winter Soldier and he was in his plain clothes, like, in his suit, those kicks that he was doing, I was like, oh my God, I was going crazy. That was one of the best scenes for me ever. Literally, when they were literally fighting right there, that was absolutely crazy.
But yeah,
he did that character to a T. It was absolutely amazing. So that's what you 100%. Need, people who will respect the character and do 100%. A great job of it.
So Davian, I'm just going to test something. We've actually got one person watching. And I got a feeling I know who it is. Mr. Cato, if you're the person watching, could you just let us know in the comments, please? Thank you. Anyway, I think we need to get back on track. So, yeah, back on track and actually what this channel is going to be about. We've talked about geekdom for the past 25 minutes, and we agreed we're only going to be on for half an hour, but we're going to be on for another half an hour, it seems, but that's fine. That is fine. The Vaya, what's the Vaya going to be about? So for me, I think what the Vaya is going to be about is, there's 4 of us, maybe 5 of us, but I think there's 4 of us. All went to school together. We're all in our 40s or about to hit 40. I think the channel is about 4 guys hitting 40 and trying to. It is Mr. Cato in the watching.
Hello, Mr. Cato.
Yeah. So I think it's essentially about four guys just trying to make sense of the world and trying to find our place in the world again, and using YouTube as that vehicle to do that. I think for me, that's what this channel is about. I don't think any of us are particularly settled, apart from Otis. Yeah, and I think it's just about us just finding our place in the world. Davian, what is this channel going to mean to you?
This channel means to me is like friends who hang out and we spend a lot of time together, because first thing we have to make clear, we're not just like four guys who just got together.
Sorry,
Friends,
Davian.
great idea.
In the comments.
Hey, thank you. We actually very, very close friends. We talk every day. We have a WhatsApp group. It's not something that we do yesterday. We meet up, we go out, we travel together. We do stuff. So we're not it's not something like where you see some of these, we're not sure if it's authentic. No. We went to school together. I still know Manny P's home telephone number out my head from dialing back in the day.
Actually, we've changed our phone number recently, so you can actually shout it out.
Well,
actually, don't, because it might be given. Actually, no, don't, because it might be given somebody else. Actually,
I'm going to call it. You're not Manny P. What are you doing with Manny P? They're going to be like, I don't know who Manny P is. You stole his number. He's had it since we went to Hummerton.
To be honest, I don't know who Manny P is either. Like, I don't know where the P came from.
Neither do I. I just made up that crap, and it was my colleague Unti, who I worked at BA, who was like, yeah, Manny P. And literally, because I called the other guys, Randy P and Keith P, and then she was like, you commented on a picture or something, and then she's like, yes, Manny P. And I was like, yeah, that's it. You've been named Manny P. And that's from about 2011, 12.
Yeah,
and you've been Manny P since.
It's a shame your colleague was engaged, but that's a different
story. Yeah, lovely day. I was speaking to her the other day, checking up on me. How are you? You okay? Only person to call me Dave. Only person to call me Dave, like, for some reason.
Do you think that makes you sound a bit plain?
Well, I think it just makes me sound a bit like, you're right, Dave. I'm like, do I look like a damn Dave? Not that there's a Dave that has a look, but
One second, in the comments, Dowdy, I think you're still here. Does Davian look like a Dave? Just let us know in the comments. That'd be great. But yeah, so there's four of us. We'll just wait. So there's four of us. So I think we'll just go around, and I think we'll talk about the two who aren't here, who should be here, but for whatever reason they're not. As the de facto manager of this channel at the moment, they'll be getting harsh words, I think, from me in the WhatsApp group. But yeah, first we've got Otis. How would you describe Otis? Oh, Dave. By the way, Dowdy says you look more like a John.
There you go. Exactly. Yep.
Look more like a fair enough. So you don't look like a Dave.
Yeah.
You look like a John.
Thank you, Dowdy. So Otis. Okay, I'll describe Otis. I'll say Otis is a liver of life.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll explain what I'm, for those who doesn't. A liver of life. To me, Otis embraced life and everything. He's the most carefree but responsible person I ever know, because he's a family man. He's a great father.
He's actually probably the best. He's probably actually, from our age group, probably the best dad.
I'll definitely say that. He's got kids from different backgrounds, obviously his kids, but he makes the time to actually learn and make sure that his kids get educated in their cultural background. Even though he doesn't have it, he makes the effort to make sure that they don't miss out on that part of their heritage as well. And he
really
also takes the time, which is amazing, and I think he's an amazing talent and ability to have. He's actually learning all those different languages. He's the first black guy I ever know that could actually speak Cantonese. First black guy I know that spoke Cantonese, which I thought, wow, okay. And now he's learning Czech, he's learning Spanish, so he's amazing. I could just about get by with a few words in Spanish, and I lived with a
Mate,
Spanish
I can barely speak English, so it's
6 years.
it's impressive that he's learning all these other languages as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So Otis is amazing. He's about adventure, life. He does everything. He's had a little stint learning mixed martial arts. He's into fitness, surfing. He does all of it. Like, he literally enjoys life, and
he's our
nothing.
driver, and more importantly, he's our driver whenever we go up north.
Yes, absolutely. Amazing guys. And again, we're all friends. We're all in the same. In fact, myself, Otis, and Manny P, we're all in the same class in secondary school. All of us was in the same year, but all three of us was in the same class until this moved. And then in my last year of secondary, then I moved to a different class, but we were all still in the same class. So, this is going back from forever. That's how long we've been friends. Ages.
So for me, for Otis, I would probably describe him as one of the most biggest hearted people I know. Yeah. Can't do enough for you, honestly. I remember, because me and Otis actually, we hadn't spoken for about 10 years. So from the age of maybe more than that, actually. Yeah, so we were friends on Facebook, but we hadn't, he'd moved out of London.
Yeah.
And I remember, I was at work and I saw this missed phone call from Otis. And I was like, he hasn't rung, we haven't properly spoken to each other in 8 or 10 years or something. So I rang him back and I was like, hello? And he was like, oh, Manny, how's it going up? And I was just like, oh, we should meet up for a drink. And I was just like, hey, cool. I remember arranging to meet up, and we met up in Shoreditch for a drink. I remember being nervous thinking, God, we haven't hung out properly for 10 plus years. Is it going to be awkward? What do we talk about? Within 60 seconds, we were basically two 15-year-olds again. We just slipped right back into that habit.
That's so true. Yeah, we have, prior to when we all met up again, a few years ago, I hadn't seen Otis again since school days when he left. And then one day I was out, this was probably about 98, and I was actually at a bar in Wood Green, and Kai was coming in and he was with Otis. And then I saw him then. So that was the first time I had seen him since we had left school. And then I didn't see him again until many, many years later. But, talking about everyone, Manny P, out of everyone, me and Manny P, I've been in contact with Manny P more than I've been with everyone else, because the other guys have moved around. Kai lived overseas for a while. Damien as well was doing his thing. Otis was also doing his thing, living different parts of the country and all over. But me and Manny P have always been in contact from school days to present. There's not been a time when me and Manny P has not been in contact at all. We've always been in contact. Even if I couldn't remember Manny P's mobile number, I could remember his house phone number. But we've always been in contact. He was there at my daughter's christening, and this is going back 20 years ago.
In fact, so I think Dowdy was with me. When I quickly popped in, I actually think Dowdy was with me.
Party, yeah.
When
I rented out that place and you came to the christening party or whatever.
I remember we got there before you.
Yeah, literally. I remember even back in the day when we were going to school. Speaking of Dowdy, remember when we went and played that football match?
Oh yeah.
Down in Hackney Marshes, and we got slaughtered 20-10.
It wasn't that bad. I think we lost 8-2. 8-2 we lost.
No, Manny P, my memory's good. It was about 20-10. It
wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, I've erased that from my memory. But let's talk about the other Vaya man, Coyote. What would you say about Kai?
Kai is the funniest guy for me ever, because I remember Kai, like I said, me and Kai would live close to each other because I'd live in Stoke Newington and he lived in Stamford, so I'd have to pass. Thank you, Dowdy. You remember it was bad. And Kai, I'd have to drive past Kai when we're on the bus. We'd take the same bus to go home or whatever. So we'd always been friends and whatnot. And I remember Kai was actually when he trained to become a chef, and he was always putting up these great menus and whatnot or whatever. And the next thing I see, he goes from that to like a vegan. It's all about saving the animals, and he's doing all these protests. And I'm like, what kind of chef is a vegan? Like, how you gonna know about the chicken or whatever? And I just thought, oh my God, or whatever. And then he had lived overseas or whatever. He lived in the Czech Republic for a few years. So again, I think also doing that, because from our background, we're from North London / East London. We went to school in East London. So, it's not like the most refined areas, but yet still we managed to do so much where, we all was doing, pre-corona, we're all doing relatively great in our lives, and we were all, you'd not think that. If you think probably going back from where we started, probably think, no, I don't know what will happen to them, because there's so many people that we actually went to school with that you hear so many things about them. This one got killed, that one got killed, that one's in jail.
Yeah, which is something we'll talk about probably another podcast, I reckon, maybe.
Definitely. We do a reminisce one or
That'll
whatever.
be a serious one where we might have to get the Kleenex ready, not in a dirty way because people might start crying.
Yeah. I mean, emotional. That's the safest way to say it. The most.
Yeah, people might get emotional.
It might be a very emotional one, but but shout out to everyone that went to Homerton, also Hackney Downs, the East London.
Are you sure you want to give a shout out to Hackney Downs?
Well, it's still our neighbor. Then they're our neighbor. Might not be the neighbor that you want to say hi to all the time, but nevertheless, it's still the neighbor type of thing. But we came a long way. We came from a very, very long way, because those community was always looked down upon in the education system in a lot of ways. So, which is why a lot of those schools failed. But we managed to get through, and we did a lot, and we're still going strong. We're here.
Absolutely. And I think as well, I think in the future, I think we will bring in people from Homerton House, and I've had this idea about doing a podcast called Homerton Stories, where we ask people from Homerton House their life story, because it was a very tough upbringing, but yet so many people from our school have had these amazing lives. And I do think that's because of that tough upbringing. It's like a diamond can only be made under extreme pressure. And I think that's true for a lot of our old school friends as well.
Manny P, give me 1 sec. I need to run and get my charger, because my tablet is on to 4.
Your internet is also breaking up as well, so you go and get your charger. And you've frozen in a weird kind of way as well. Anyway, whilst we're looking at Davian's ceiling in Jamaica. So yeah, how would I describe Davian? I think is the next port of call. What can I call Davian? Davian is actually one of the most pure guys you're ever going to hope to meet. There's no kind of there's no alter ego there. What you see is very much what you get, and he's just a very honest, pure guy. And if you're good with him, he'll be good with you. And I think that's the most you could ever ask of somebody. Okay, he's back. Plugging in his charger. You okay there? Okay, still plugging it in. But as you can also see as well, Davian, sometimes he's not the most organized person in the world either. So yeah, what's going on? I can see a window. I can hear breathing. Right. Hello, I can't see you though.
Okay, yeah, I'm back now.
Cool. Right, so I've just given I've just talked about you, Davian. I guess it's Dan. I guess I'm the next person to be spoken about.
Manny P. What can I say about Manny P? Manny P is the coolest person that he doesn't know he is. No, honestly, Manny P is the coolest person that he doesn't even realize he is. Manny P just doesn't show the confidence that he should for himself, because Manny P is awesome. One of the most trustworthy, one of my closest confidant. I've got probably about 3 close confidants in this life, and Manny P is one of them. I tell Manny P everything, I talk to Manny P about whatever. Manny P has helped me in so many ways. It's unreal. And I will always, always be grateful. And I'll always have Manny P's back. I mean, going back from back in the day when we were going to school, I mean, I was like, one of the supposed like cool kids, with all like the top guys in our year or whatever. And me and Manny P was like besties. I'd go with Manny P to the to Forbidden Planet, which is a comic book store, a big comic book store, and get comics or whatever, because I was into that. So even though I had like, I was like the cool friend, the cool guy, I still love things like that or whatever. So I never looked, like, oh, I can't be friends with you, or if I can be friends with you, not, I can't let the cool guy see or whatever. I didn't care. I'd go to the comic book store with Manny P, get my comics or whatever, come back. Manny P was one of the ones, Manny P is the person who educated me on things like, Marvel, the difference between Marvel and DC, letting me know the backstory of certain things like that. Manny P has been very responsible as well. I remember from when we were going to school, Manny P was working, doing all that things or whatever. So
I wasn't working. I didn't get my first job till I was 19, by the way.
Was it 19 when he was working for the bank?
Yeah.
You was 19?
I had an entire period where I was just dusting and not doing anything.
There you go. See, too honest for his own good. Bigger up. Like, yes, Manny P been working since he's 2 years old. Like, no, actually, I didn't work until I was 37 because I was a bum. Yeah, thank you, Manny P. See, too honest for his own good or whatever. But Manny P is my closest confidant, always have been, and always will be or whatever. And this is why we said, which was one of the things that we did on a more serious note, when we decided that we're going to do these podcast and set up these channels, we always said we're not going to let nothing, no money, anything like that come between our friendship. Before that, we're all friends before any of this. So if something is going to cause a problem, then we'd rather just close it down, but it's not going to affect our friendship or whatever. But Manny P is an awesome guy. I just want him to find an awesome girl. So all you ladies out there who are subscribing, I'm not pimping him out, but I'm just saying, awesome guy right here, great work ethic. He's not a bum, and absolutely amazing.
I'm not a bum now. I mean, I went through a bum period when I was 18, but I'm not a bum now. So yeah, thank you. That's very kind. It's very kind. So I think to finish off with, so we started off the channel. We started doing some reaction videos, which have been fun. I've actually quite enjoyed doing them. I think we'll start with. Actually, no, I'll start first with the stuff I've done. I've been asked to look at a lot of dancehall, which is totally out of my comfort zone. Yes. I have to admit. But I'm not hating. I'm sorry. Dowdy's just messaged. No, Dowdy.
Yeah, pimp him out. I get that.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But yeah, I'm actually not hating Vybz Kartel. I thought the last song, which I reacted to, Popular, was actually quite a good song with a good message. So what I've enjoyed is actually being out of my comfort zone and yeah, like finding new. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm going to be blasting it out from my stereo, but at the same time, I'm not going to be hating it if I hear it come on the radio either. So I think that's been quite good. There's been some awful stuff which I've listened to, like that Megan D Stallion song wasn't great, and Risque Smell Yo Dick. Obviously, that was an intro. Did you not watch that one I done?
No, not yet.
No, well, I think you should watch it. And it's basically a song about a woman who thinks her man is cheating on her. So when her man comes home, she's going to smell his.
Oh, yes. I remember. Yes, I did, and I commented on it. Yes, I did. Yeah, I remember now.
Yes. So So that's been interesting. I like that. Yeah, it's been good to be out of my comfort zone. David, what about you? You've done a few reactions. You
Yeah,
seem to be heading down this path of doing love songs. It seems to be, and a lot of the commenters are giving you kind of that genre to react to.
yes.
How have you found the journey so far?
Well, I found not the journey, the journey
The
very
journey.
interesting.
Have you found the journey so far?
Yes, I found the journey and the journey very interesting because, for instance, like, I mean, I'm from the Caribbean, from Jamaica. So, you think, oh, you should react to like a Vibes Cartel or something. But I think it's such an amazing thing where everything gets switched up. And Manny P, that's not really his forte, he's now having to react to that. Poor Manny P's listening, like, what is daggering? What is all of that kind of stuff? Like, and daggering is
For
just
the
like,
record, I am from Hackney. I'm not from like the countryside or something, and I don't have a title like Duke or Earl.
the Duke of the Duke of Homerton, the Duke of Homerton accent.
Well, that's
What
it.
is
I'm more than happy for that to be my nickname.
Yes, the Duke of Homerton. I like that. Hashtag let's get that trendy. Manny P, the Duke of Homerton. What is that daggering? That will be his line. What is that daggering? Because, but yeah, that's been
God, in
such a
my
great
day, a dagger was actually something you stabbed somebody with.
thing. I'll give a right old dagger. No, you don't give a man a dagger. I mean, they can if that's your way inclined, but
David, if you act up anymore, I shall give you a good daggering, sir. Do you hear me, sir? A good daggering.
Yeah, you can't say that, or else you lose your title of Sir Manny P, the Duke of Homerton. You lose that title because a Manny P of the Duke of Homerton don't be daggering a Davy, and you'll be daggering a Sophie.
I mean, we can call you Sophie. It's fine. But anyway, sorry. You've been
Elizabeth.
so anyway away from the daggering. You've been reacting to some LP. You've done some Bon Jovi.
Yes, so my first one was actually Bon Jovi,
Actually, no, your
Always.
first one was Tool, Sober, but YouTube weren't having it.
Yes, well, I had to block that one out because I didn't get to react to it because for some reason YouTube hated on me and I wasn't able to do it. So in the end, we had to do a live version where you actually reacted to it. But again, to show you how awesome Manny P is, he actually put a bit of my reaction with his on that, so I actually got to react to it as well also. So thank you for that, Manny P. And that one actually was very well received as well. So Manny P did an awesome job on that. So that technically would have been my first one, but as that one was flagged for some reason by YouTube, then the first one that I actually did that went up was Always by Bon Jovi. And again, that was just a situation where
You
that one
soppy
was
son.
actually more like a personal one, like someone in my life that had me feeling a certain way, and literally that's just how yes, I am soppy and I'm romantic. I'll be writing poems and flowers and all of that kind of stuff there, whatever, get all Shakespearean on them. I think therefore I am.
Davies not the kind of guy to dish out a dagger in. He's more that kind of fine dine, wine and
Yes,
fine dining kind of
yes, my
guy.
lady, I shall get rose petals, and we go and have a pheasant at noon. And if someone, besmirched her, I shall actually go and reclaim her honor, with a glove,
Good man.
you
Good
know.
man.
So yeah, so I've been reacting to a lot of. So I did that one, and then after that, a suggestion was actually made for me to actually try out LP Waters,
Who I've never
LP,
heard of,
yeah,
but
LP
her
Muddy
videos,
Waters.
they've got millions of views, millions.
Yes. And I reacted to that one and I thought it was an amazing. In fact, what I tried to do, which is not for the cameras, I'm being completely honest. When I actually did those reaction, I actually was reacting to them live for the first time. So I didn't do any homework on them. All I did was I got the song up, got the lyrics up so I could actually go through the lyrics while I'm listening to it, and then I just reacted to it live while I'm actually videoing it. So it's not one of those ones where they've listened to it 50 million times and then they come, oh my God, I didn't know they said, oh, that's amazing, when it's fake. No, all mines are actually genuine. And to the point that when we put that LP Muddy Waters reaction up, one of our actual subscriber, Morgan, shout out to Morgan, she actually said, yes, she's actually a really good artist and you should listen to more of her stuff. And she actually recommended a song. And I actually reacted to that the following day, and we put that up there as well. And something that we will do, when any of our subscribers, anyone actually make a suggestion for us to
Or commenter.
react to
Yeah.
something, we will definitely do, and we'll also shout you out because we're grateful and we appreciate that because you're taking your time. Could have been watching something else to actually speak to us and comment on our videos. So thank you all for the support. And again, as I'll always say, subscribe, share, like, comment. There you go. There you go. See, Manny P's on the ball right there. Where would we be without Manny P? Not very far.
Indeed. And I got you to react to some REO Speedwagon as well, which is actually one of my favorite songs of all time, believe it or not.
That one was really amazing, and that was a really good song as well because, again, it's all these songs, again, that's taking me out of my comfort zone in terms of reacting to anything. I mean, this is our first time reacting to things, but for instance, I mean, I do listen to I love 80s song and I also love, like ballads, groups like Air Supply. I love that. Chicago, Phil Collins, that's my kind of thing or whatever. But also I still love like, the hip hop and R&B stuff or whatever. But I'm also for the rock. I love Bon Jovi. Anyone who said they didn't love Bon Jovi growing up, they're lying.
To be honest, like Living on a Prayer. Love that song.
Exactly. Living on a Prayer was amazing. Them tight jeans. I was like, damn, I want to rock some tight jeans and have long hair and be playing a guitar. I didn't have tight jeans. I don't know how to play a guitar. Well, now I've got long hair, but I'm not going to rock any tight jeans.
I've got long hair, but I've not got my tight jeans on today, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, but you can play guitar. For those who didn't
I can play bass. I can't. I'm not very good with. I'm not very good with the six string, but I can play bass. And again, I think one day we should sit down and talk about my band as well. I think that'd be interesting.
There you go. That's what I was just going to say. For those who's not aware, Manny P, as quiet and as reserved as he looks, is actually a rocker. He was in a rock band. I actually went and saw them perform live.
My first ever gig, I believe.
Yeah, first ever gig. See, it shows you how far we go back. I was at his first ever gig in a pub. The rock star starting out. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Those were the days. But Davian, we've actually done an hour 2 minutes, so I think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But this has been fun. I think we've actually, from this chat, I think we've got a list of other things we can talk about.
Yes, and thank you to our millions of live audience members who's watching right now. Shout out to Dowdy.
Yeah, Dowdy counts as 1 million people. Dowdy actually counts as 1 million people because he's such a cool dude. He actually counts as 1 million. In fact, I mean, I think Dowdy, would probably like to be a guest every once in a while as well. Like if you're talking about specifically geeky stuff, yes. I think Dowdy's knowledge of comics, I think, in terms of like the recent stories, definitely surpasses mine now by a huge amount. But yeah, Dowdy, would you be up for that? Dowdy's done a fist bump. I don't know if he wants to just fist bump me or want to punch me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it's a black fist bump. So he's saying, yes, I'm in.
To be fair, whenever Dowdy has tried to punch people, in my recollection, he's always ended up punching himself.
Yeah. Coordination. Stick to verbal. verbal.
Dowdy's not going to appreciate that.
Dowdy's amazing. Just like Manny P. Here you go. So yes, Dowdy would definitely have to come on. We definitely want that or whatever, and we're definitely going to be doing a lot of big things. But as we know, we're wrapping it up. I'm going to definitely say, which I always stress on, keep safe, everyone. Because we're living in crazy times right now. So just protect yourselves, your families, your loved ones, and we look forward to seeing you guys. And please remember to subscribe, like, and share, comment, make your suggestions. Trust me, we read all the comments and we also respond. So whether it be from our individual personal accounts or from our Vaya account, but you will get a response. So thank you all. And yes, have a wonderful evening for you guys. It's daytime for me because I am still in the Caribbean, so it is actually
Yep, 100%.
12. So it's lunchtime for me. So yay! So it's going to be lunch soon.
Cool. So I'm waving Davian. So wave goodbye.
Yes. Goodbye, Dowdy, Manny P. Stay safe, guys.